In this Getting Started with Python in bluemix course, we now understand what the runtimes are, how to specify a build pack. We've created a development environment, we've created a virtual environment in which we can control the version of Python, the framework and any other bits and pieces. Now we're ready to start running, monitoring and deploying the application. So let's have a look at the manifest file for the Flask application. To deploy app, the key parts are the name, the host, the domain, importantly the build pack. The build pack is 154, and if we go back into the build packs on bluemix, if we go into the releases and find 154, which is the one we specified, of course we can specify any of the others as well. Just need to check that Python 351 is supported, and there it is, 351 on our Cloud Foundry stack. So we're okay. So our environment on our machine is going to be the same as our environment on bluemix. Let's update the runtime to 351 for Flask and then for the Django project. And the manifest for the Django is okay. So we will close those files and go back up onto bluemix, because I've already deployed this application, so I need to just remove it. We can deploy an update, but what I want to do at this stage is actually show you how the manifest file is all you need to be able to deploy your application. So I'll stop this instance and get rid of it. Let's verify that it's gone. And it's no longer there. So now, when we push the application, it's going to be created. First, of course, we need to run our application to make sure that there's nothing wrong with it. Let's have a look at the Flask environment. The proc files will describe how we're going to run this in bluemix. It's the same way we run it locally. So Python Watson py starts a HTTP server, an inbuilt HTTP server. And if we open up port 5000 on localhost, we'll get an error because the root is not been defined at the root level. We just have to specify the root for the application, and we'll come back into that in the next segment. But for now, we know there's an error, but it's a credentials error, so that's okay. So this Flask application is okay. Let's try the same in Django. If you remember, in the manifest we start a run.sh. So if you have a look at run.sh, at the bottom, the Python manage py run server is how we start the server. So I'll run that locally, and our Django app is now also running locally, so that's running on 8000. So both these servers can be running simultaneously. There's nothing to stop you. They're listening on different ports. And again, because the app is not listening at the root level, we get a page not found error. Otherwise, at WL-lang, the application is there, and again we'll get this same invalid credentials, which is okay, which is what we're expecting at this stage. However, this has gone too smoothly, so I need to create an error just to show you what kind of screens we'll get when an error is detected. So let's just rename the template file in the Django project. So the index template file that the application is looking for no longer exists. Let's just restart the Django server. Shouldn't have stopped it, but it's okay. Just refresh the page and you'll now see a Django debug error. It's the kind of error you get when you're running with debug mode. When you're in production, you won't get these because you don't want to expose what this is showing. It's useful for debugging though. Let's correct that. Refresh the page, and the application is performing as we'd expect it to at this stage. Let's do something similar in Flask, because the debug pages for that, debug error pages for that, are slightly different. Again, we'll make the same deliberate error of the template naming. And here we are. Again, this error is easy to find. Otherwise, if it's in your application, you go down into the stat trace. Let's correct our deliberate error. Refresh the page, and again, our application is performing as it expected to at this stage. So let's just go into the Flask environment here, and we're going to connect up to the bluemix region. This is the GB region. We have to have logged out before, because once you're logged in, you cannot change the region. You have to log out. In fact, once you're connected to a region, even if you shut down the machine, you're still connected to that region. So you have to log off, reconnect, and so on. Here we're pushing the application and we can see as the application is being built, the runtime is fetched, the stack is fetched, the dependencies are fetched, and so on. We can run a trace on the application, and the application is the name, not the host. So we just run the logs. Refresh the page in bluemix to actually see the application. And there's our application. It's running. If we select it, we can see in summary the overview of the application. It's using the correct build pack. And the route at the top, if we click that, that'll go into our application. Of course, we know nothing's running on the route. We specify the right URL. We have the application, and it's running as we expect it to. at this stage. And we have the logs in our Flask environment. Now you're not going to be normally running traces. Normally your application is going to be okay, and you only want to look at the logs when something goes wrong, and for that you have the recent option. So we'll just run this cf logs command with the recent option. And there we are, we can see the most recent log. So now we understand runtimes and build packs. We have a development environment where we've controlled the versions of software, and we also are now able to run and deploy the application in bluemix and outside of bluemix. So we're now ready to start adding in Watson services.